Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Hello, you're welcome to today's edition of Money Radio on Leadership Podcast. Money Radio is a program that brings you the latest development in Nigeria's business and economic cycles and the issues of businesses around the world. My name is Innocent Odu, and today we are talking about technology. And specifically, we're looking at the ongoing National Council on Science, Technology and Innovation, the 19th edition, that is currently going on in Abuja, that has a theme, investment in research and development as a tool for improving the Nigerian economy, especially in these modern times. And this is what we're going to focus our attention on, how we're going to leverage on the potentials available in this country to develop research and development in order to add value to the economy by improving our science and technology potentials. I have in the studio a man who has all the necessary requirements in terms of intellect to do justice to this very important topic. He's an expert in ICT. Welcome. Hand up, Jafar.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here again.
Yes. It's very important, this very topic that we're talking about, because this is something that we actually focused on some time ago. And today we're going to try to add a broader perspective to it, because it has become really incumbent on all of us, especially now that the federal government seems to be waking up to its responsibility to actually motivate people in that sector to take the issue of science and technology very seriously, especially as they try to also invest in research and development. So how do you see this little development?
Well, it's a good one. I appreciate the fact that the government is waking up to putting the funds required in that sector. Research is one thing that builds a nation. Whatsoever thing we're doing, if we don't research, we will only be resellers or reusers. It is research that brings innovation. It is research that brings improvement, both in technology and for every product that we see. So now that the government is now looking at funding this research, it's a good one. It's a welcome development. But just as we mentioned some time ago, when we're talking about research, it is good that these research funds have a level of, it is stated at what state is this fund going into. Is this fund going into the area of patenting? Is this fund going into the area of core research? Is this fund going into the area of encouraging the organized private sector to come into to commercialize products that have been researched upon? So what area is this fund going into? Or is the fund going to be the full research fund that caters throughout the chain of the research? So it's important we are clear on these. Then we can know, okay, what exactly are we researching on? We don't just go into research. We look for problems. It is problems that induce research. We look for problems within the world, problems around, or the problems in the US to be completely different from the problems in Nigeria. The mortality rate in the US will be different from the mortality rate in Nigeria. So why are they low mortality rate in US and they're high mortality rate in Nigeria? If we've been able to identify why Nigeria is having that, there are still peculiar problems or challenges that are peculiar to all because it is Nigeria, or because maybe we have black skin, or maybe because we have dark eyes or dark hair or short hair. These are the kind of things we begin to identify, looking for problems. Either you look for problems to improve. It can be a new problem, or you look for a solution that has a problem and you improve on it. Yes, those are the two angles that you can carry out research. So we need to be specific on the core area of research we want to go into. We want to go into technological research. We need to be specific on the possibility of us having the human capital, because it's not about saying that you want to invest in research. You need to ensure that you have the capacity, you have the human capital, the personnel that will carry out this research. So once you've been able to identify the problem, you have the capacity, the human capital, what now requires is now the funding.
Oh, interesting. We talk about the human capacity, but I'm thinking that there's an enormity of human capacity in Nigeria. Maybe the harnessing of that capacity might just be the challenge here, because I'm thinking that we have research institutes that are, made up of professionals of different varieties, where they have actually put in their best. Sometimes they also do some collaborations, collaborative efforts with the other international research agencies or groups. But then we have hardly see results coming out of some of these efforts that they are making or they have made, which is why we are actually asking ourselves now, what can we do now to actually harness those potentials?
Okay. Let us not be so sure that we have the human capital or the human capacity. We can say yes, we on paper we do, but you can prove that with results. If you say you have the human capital and we're not seeing the results, then it means there is a gap somewhere. Now, let's not forget the fact that I understand that almost all Nigerian graduates end up doing research as part of their project. What happens to that research work? Most of them, how do they even get their topic? Most of them are repeated topics. You get, so they just go and they pick somebody's topic someone that has done a topic related 5 years ago, and they come and they replicate it. And because we have a central database that tends to check for plagiarism, it ends up being accepted. Yeah, because you would not know someone that studied in University of Ibadan may be sharing the same topic with someone that's studying in the UK. And at the end of the day, you find out that both of them, they are the same topic, but different external investigator and different supervisors. So there will be no way to identify if truly the research work was carried out. So we can't rule out the possibility. I'm not saying that we don't have the capacity, but let us not rule out the possibility of us having a challenge there. Because even most doctors that we see, or those that have completed their PhD, some of them tend to go for that program for the title. At the end of the day, I want to be called a doctor. You're done with your PhD. Yeah, I'm done with my PhD. And what research you carry out? What's the level of research you carry out? Can you actually defend your research? Because when you carry out a PhD, it's supposed to be a focused research. Yet your PhD program is supposed to be a focused research. And your PhD program is supposed to, at the end of the day, end in a product that should be patented. So we have many doctors. We have many professors. And that means before you become a professor, you are a doctor. So where are the research topics? Were they patent? If they were patent, are they become patent to product? What is delaying it? Those are the things we begin to look at to now ascertain that, yes, we have the human capital. If we have not been able to identify if truly we have the human capital, then it means we have to go back to our drawing board.
Wow, we did have to go back to our drawing board, because even at the 19th edition of the National Council on Science and Technology that is currently going on in Abuja, a lot of agencies under the Ministry of Science and Technology actually came to, of course, present technical papers over there, and not just that we want to see something that is technical in nature, but just like you said, how do we convert that into visible and viable products that people can look at and say, yes, this is the product of a research done by certain groups at a certain time, and it is geared towards solving a particular problem of the society. Now we have not seen much of that, though there are some display of some products here and there, but maybe not as viable as we would wish. And it then means that something is fundamentally not really going well within that system.
I think the problem is that, personally, I think the problem is that we are solving the wrong problem. If you solve a problem that is necessary, that is important to human health, that is important to our advancement. Like, if you solve a problem that is really a problem and it's a problem that affects everybody, nobody will sweep that research under the carpet.
Yes.
Because we are solving problems that we are carrying out research on things that are not necessary. We also need to look at that possibility that we're carrying out research on things that are not necessary. We're carrying out improvement on things that are not necessary. Because they are not things that truly affect our human nature. There are not things that truly affect us as a person or things that affect our advancement as a people. Once we're able to look for problems that need solution, and we research on those problems, we get solution based on the research that we've carried out. We don't do research under the carpet. Not minding whether you did the research in your PhD as a PhD project or as a master's thesis or as a PhD research topic.
Okay, in part of actually trying to solve the problem you just raised now might be creating some kind of resemblance of governing structure that will enable this idea you're talking about to crystallize into products. Does it mean that probably we don't have the governing structure, which is why some of these things cannot be easily spotted, funded, and then directed towards giving us the result that we require?
Yeah, there is a role for structure, but first and first, last time we mentioned on the challenge of patenting.
Yes.
We mentioned on the challenge of patenting that it's not about you going to carry out research. While it is important and it is necessary, and you've been able to get a solution on a very important problem, or a problem that the human race needs generally, most persons will be scared of bringing out their research because once it gets to the public, it becomes the public consumption. And what are the structures in place to ensure that certain products or certain research someone benefit from certain research or products? The one system of one structure, one way government generally ensure that happens is by patenting. What is our level of patenting in this country? What is our level of patenting in this country? What is our level of reference in this country? We carry out research, most of in our schools and all that. At the end of every major session or major program, you undergo research, and that research, do we have a level of system that checks if certain persons have been referred, or as if there was reference of certain persons, be it in their words or the way they mention or a quote from certain persons? We may just see it at the end of the research project. You see it in your reference list, but have we been able to clearly identify if truly that reference that person has properly been referenced? So these are some of the things we look out for. Because when I feel I go on Google and I type somebody's name and I begin to see Google bringing out links that tends to refer what the person has done, the person will feel a level of a sense of belonging because, yes, I've been referred based on the project of the research that I carried out. But if I carry out the research and somebody is using my research words or my write-up to build his own or to expand on my research, and he's not referencing me in that research, it means that all I have done it's more of like a wasted. Yeah, so it's important we increase the level of patenting system that we are running, our copyright system, our referencing system, so that everybody feels, yeah, you're honored. That's right. We are honored for carrying out research, be it in monetary honor or in form of reference.
Wow, interesting. And that takes us to say comparisons around the world. The world is competitive in terms of research and development effort being made, and of course the budgetary provisions for such policies. I remember sometime in 2019, the Japanese Research and Development gulped around let's say 93 trillion Japanese yen, a lot of money. And research and development in the area of science and technology took about 90% of that chunk of money. So you can see a nation that is very serious in that industry, in that sector. And of course, you see the results. The Japanese people are known for science, technology. Of course, from time immemorial, right from the days of the Meiji Restoration of 1867, when the Japanese opened their doors for the Western world to come in and allow science and technology to determine the culture of the people. It has become Japan has become a preeminent nation among the global community of giants in science and technology. Yes, we have the potentials. Yes, we need to push up these potentials. But Nigeria is 61 years old now, but then all our potentials are being shifted at the brain drain that we're having. If you go to the Ivy League universities in the world, you see Nigerians performing wonders. Their brains are put to work in different universities in the Western world, even in Asia, performing all the technological outfit that we're all clamoring for here. Now we have a diaspora kind of relationship. We have a diaspora commission here that is doing great in terms of trying to bring back Nigerians to put this effort for the betterment of the country. But there's just very little that we're seeing from that effort. And we do not know why this is happening. When we have brains outside, we're suffering from the products, lack of the products that we need.
It boils down to system. That's true. That is true of the matter. Talking about research that the world have engaged in, most of the benefits most of the things we benefit today they all came as a result of research. The internet was a research carrier by Java. Yes. From intranet to internet. The Tornet was a research carrier by Ministry of Defense, US Ministry of Defense. Because that's what eventually became the dark web. So most of these IT and technology, they all started as research. But now this is what is making the world what it is now. So you can't rule out the place of funding. Your level of funding in research. I think the challenge with funding research is the fact that it usually is an investment without a deadline. And that's not the kind of things Nigerians generally like. They want something that you give me a deadline. I'm investing so much, you give me a deadline. And as you are giving me that deadline, once that deadline comes, when I come, let me get my ROI. But research doesn't work like that. As you're taking your research, as you're pumping money, you can be pumping money, and at the end of the day, nothing will be coming out. You can spend 20 years doing one research, but eventually that research eventually tends to become an innovation that ends up in a product. For the rest of your life, you would smile to the banks, you would smile everywhere. That's the truth of the matter. So Nigerians generally, one, we don't have the structure that would bring, talking about those that are coming, that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is trying to say how to bring in. If they bring them, what are they coming to do? That's the truth of the matter. How many research institutes do we have? How many biotechnological research institutes do we have? We just have one in Abuja. How many nuclear research institutes do we have? We just have one in Abuja. How many? The only research institute that I know that we have so much is research in line with agriculture, and we're not even saying when it's not even bearing fruit, because if we're having that level of research, that the numbers of institutes we have in line with research, and we're not seeing the fruit of it, what exactly is going on? Is it that they're not getting the right funding, or what exactly is going on? Now, most people tends to focus so much on products. Research can be carried out on services also. Yes. So it's not medical research. It's not as though we don't have. It's not as though we don't have, or we don't have. We may have the human capital that tends to end up there. Now, bringing them back will be difficult because you don't have the same infrastructure that they are using there. So when they come back, it's as though you're trying to you are taking them backwards.
Okay, if you are just joining us, we're talking about technology, and the focus has been on investing in research and development as a tool to transforming the Nigerian economy. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we'll be talking about technology, and the focus is on research and development, investment in research and development as a tool to transforming Nigeria's economy for the betterment of all of us. And before we went on that short break, Hanel, we've been talking about funding. This is a very, very fundamental aspect of any research project that can be carried out. Now, in recent times, it gladdened the heart of some Nigerians that the president actually has approved an improvement of the budgetary allocation for science and tech, in the country, to about 0.5%. Yeah, it's an improvement from what we used to have in the past. But then, of course, research efforts are really, really big issues that one needs to actually, not just a budget, extra budgets are actually made to take into cognizance some of those areas that we need. So if I may ask you, what percentage of budget do you think, or budgetary allocation do you think should be reserved for research and development?
Well, research funds, if it's the truth with research is this: the more you spend with the right human capital,
Yes,
the more money you make. If we were to put in a number, why would research fund in a whole country be 0.5 in the whole budget? It means that we're not really serious with research. Instead, we prepare and undergoing more of recurrent expenditure than capital, because research it's while it is a recurrent thing, it is an asset at the end of the day.
yes.
What makes countries where they are today is the level of research that they have succeeded in, is the level of success they have experienced in their research. So you definitely must ensure that your research fund is huge for you to get a return on it. You cannot get a return on investment if your research fund is at that ratio compared to other aspects of the budget that go 20-30%. We're not serious with research. That's the truth. If we are serious with research, we can't leave our research fund at that percentage. And it's not something you want to peg at a certain percent. It is the will to undergo research. If you have the human capital, then ensure that you push in money so that people undergo research and bring forth products. It will not be doing. Another challenge is that most of our administration are scared that they won't pump in money on research now. Then the research the product of the research will only come up after their tenure. So the tenure of the person that is there, or the administration of the person that is there, or the president that is there will take the glory. But forgetting the fact that at the end of the day, it benefits the country, whether it is an investment that was done yesterday to benefit today, or an investment that was done today to benefit tomorrow. There is one important factor there. At the end of the day, it benefits the country and the people that we are hearing.
Okay, yes, indeed. The point is benefiting us in different perspectives. That's what we are trying to say here, so that we as a country can wake up and join the League of Nations that are actually beating their chest and showcasing products and services that the world is proud of. That's what makes the nations great. These nations great. Products and services that they have initiated, they have carried out, and have, of course, showcased to the world and is serving the world. Now, you are an ICT person, and in that sector, of course, Nigeria is said to be doing well. But the thing is that in terms of the research effort in that sector, what can you say is really happening in that place?
Well, apart from the telecom that has the telecoms it's considered as an organized sector.
Yes.
The software is not that organized in the ICT industry generally. However, the telecoms has a level of research. In fact, all telecommunication companies, they have R&D departments.
Yes.
I think all, let me just say, most major telecommunication companies, they have R&D departments. That's that they have budget for research. So that is that. But for the software, in fact, for the hardware, we're not in it. So we're not carrying out research in hardware yet. So, but for the software, we have innovators, we have developers, and it is more of independent research. I carry out this research, and it's worked, and we implement. It's more of innovation using an already existing research to convert it into a product, developing software with already existing programming language. So there is no much research that is going on in the software sector, but we need to undergo research in the hardware sector, which we have not even explored. The Nigerian people, or the Nigerian people have not explored the hardware sector of the ICT, and very, very important. And also, we've not explored the outsourcing sector of the ICT. That's the service sector. Why we know that here there is we have different ICT service providers, but there's a whole lot of opportunities in the service sector, and that's where the IT outsourcing comes in. That's where the managed service providers comes to play. That's where the security service provider comes to play, and all this we've not explored that. So the hardware sector needs a whole lot of research. Huge research needs to be undergoing in the hardware sector, so that we don't only import, but instead we can be the Huawei of Africa. Yet it is research that brings. If you go to the research institute of Huawei in China, it's like a city.
I was there.
It's like a city. So it's not you can't just you everything you're seeing that Huawei is bringing forth. It's a product of research.
Yes.
So if we want to begin to compete in the global scale, we have to ensure that we put in funds in this research.
Yes, indeed. If we have to go ahead and compete with other parts of the world in science and technology, especially when it has to do with innovation coming out of research and development, then we must be more serious, and of course we have to commit more funds into research and development. Every sector of Nigeria's life and every government agency, it is now time to say, yes, we can do it, but we must wake up from our slumber and add value to our economy by investing more in research and development. That way, Nigeria will begin to produce products and services that the rest of the world can appreciate, and also we use to add value to our own economy. It's on that note that we come to the end of today's Money Radio. I've been joined by Daniel Jafaru, an ICT expert, to do justice to this very important topic on how Nigeria can invest in research and development in order to add value to the nation's economy. I will promise you're going to bring you a bumper edition when next will come. Thank you and remain blessed.